Today we are watching Ben Cleveland to see if we might garner some information as to whether or not he will be the answer for the Ravens at right guard in 2024. This play is designed for Gus to hit B-gap. One thing it's fair to assume that Ben Cleveland will be good at is generating movement on double teams. We see that here with this center guard combination. Great movement between he and Linderbaum. Notice all four eyes, all four hands as they move this 2-eye. Watching Ben's feet off the ball. He's going to step inside and up, picking up ground on his first step, driving his inside shoulder through the hip of the defender. Really great movement by he and Linderbaum. You can see he's coming off to get that safety. Gus cuts that back. I think he should have followed that block, but that's neither here nor there. Ben came in the fourth quarter versus San Francisco. Then he played the entirety of the final two games. I thought he improved with each game. I would say Ben's been working pretty hard on his footwork, with his inside foot out and up slightly. Want to get that second foot down before contact if you can. Something that shows up once he does fit a player up is he does do a good job continuing to drive his legs. Ben's going to come over and get the nose tackle. Very often you see Ben blocking with his body. You see that here, sort of catching the defender, but he does rework his inside arm inside the frame of the defender and then drive his legs. Like to see him drop and drive here. And this may sound strange to say for a guy who's strong as an ox, but I'd like to see greater grip strength. You do see guys late in reps able to kind of slide off or fall off his blocks. Something that surprised me is I thought he showed better as a pass protector than in the run game generally. Something that does show up is that he is quick off the ball and consistently quick off the ball. You see that here. He's going to fire off the ball, trying to reach 94, ends up driving him on an angle. Although he's listed at having nearly 34-inch arms, I wrote down that Ben seems to struggle with length at times. You'll see off the ball this defender's able to shoot his hands first, get him into Ben, fully lock out. But Ben's a hard guy to run through or toss aside, and he drives his legs, reworks his hands, gets some movement, and even though this is a bit of a mosh pit, we pick up 5 on this play. Much more often than you would like, Ben tends to bend his head or lower his eyes before contact at the line of scrimmage. We're going to see that here on the second level. I think he takes a poor angle on this block, and I think he drops his eyes. When you're essentially uncovered, you have to make this linebacker at least get off your block. This is something you might not even chalk up as a so-called loss if the blocks are better outside of him. But you see Ben coming across to get the nose, kind of duck his head, block with his body. And even though this defender's working away from him, he's not able to seal him out of the play and allows this defender to cross his face. Just not good hand usage. I mentioned I saw Ben improve over the 2+ games. I will say I saw in-game improvements as well. Watch him pass off this stunt. Gets his outside arm to the hip of the defender. Absolutely blows him up, but he throws too much of his lower body into that block. And if this ball hadn't come out quickly, he's not athletic enough to get over and block the rush. Later in that same game, we see Ben looking for work and go to help. You can see this devastating knockout power. This time he doesn't throw his whole lower half into it. Really good pickup with his A-gap blitz. Ben's going to be able to turn him, seal him, and run him into this nose tackle. There were a lot of positives in watching Ben as a pass protector. He is at his best when he's patient. I think he does a good job mirroring and moving his feet, and it's clear that he's worked on his agility and being consistent in that regard. Do see him duck his head here, but watch him work his feet to stay in front of the rush, rework his hands, then throw the defender's hands off, square him up, punch him, stay on the block. This is the stuff I like to see out of Ben. Ben's going to go out to get this 4-eye. That defender's going to try to cross his face, beat him inside. Ben's very patient, doesn't lunge, eyes up, continues to work his feet, drops his hips, gets his hands inside. Watch his eyes, attentive to this gap. Again, he stays on this block. Watch what happens when Ben gets a little bit ahead of himself, a little bit impatient, stops his feet, lunges, drops his eyes, and gives up a pressure. I think for Ben, it's all about trusting his technique, not getting too far ahead of himself or outside of himself. This is a great pass rep by Ben. Watch the hand fighting. Watch how under control he is. Watch his feet. 99 goes to long arm him. Constantly working his hands, trying to get inside hand position. Doesn't stop moving his feet. Watch the outside arm attached to the hip and watch him body this defender outside the pocket. Really like how under control he is during this particular rep. He gets his feet stopped here a little bit by this jab step inside, but he doesn't overreact, doesn't lunge, times up his punch, stops the feet of the defender. Developing patience, trusting his technique, that'll all come with more reps. That's the hope. I was impressed with him in pass protection. Watch the hand fighting once again. Mentioned that sometimes guys with length will get into him. You see that here. Doesn't panic. He is a hard guy to run through. Watch him work his inside arm, grab the elbow, hop and reset. The 4-eye is going to beat Ben inside, make a tackle for loss. You can see him at the end of this. This is all technique. He gets beat here as a result of being hurried, hurrying his technique, ducking his head at the end. But watch this second step. Instead of cutting it right through to the defender, he hurries it and kind of hops at the defender, becomes off balance, ducks that head, gets beaten easily. And he knows it. He knows it after the play. Ben is not the body mover that you would expect in the run game. That is somewhat overrated, the idea of driving guys completely off the ball. In the run game, I'd like to see him develop further his grip strength. He has to more consistently see what he hits. I do like what we see out of him in pass protection. I think more practically, you'd expect it to be the other way around. Watch the outside arm as he quick sets. This 3 technique. Reworks it inside, throws the defender's arm. Again, you're not going to run through him too often. Like how he stays after the block here as well.